right, Mohed, we just caught up. What brought you back to the races?
Yeah, man, that's a great question, Antoine. Honestly, to me, I needed some time off for family stuff and more for myself too, but family stuff, surrounded some of that stuff too, to the root of the whole situation. And for me, it was just a change of scenery and, a breath of fresh air, man. Like you don't realize where you're at or, you don't have perfect perspective of it until you take a step back. So focus on some family stuff with my mom and my dad. Actually moved in with them, spent some time helping with some property stuff and just being around, stuff that I didn't get to do as a young kid. So ultimately, I was content, I was fine, I was happy, and drinking a beer at Loretta's, and the engine guy from ClubMX Muc-Off FXR Yamaha came up, and he was Nicoletti's guy last year, making the transition into being an engine guy. Said, hey, we're looking for somebody to come in and help oversee stuff, but also be a mechanic and just be involved in general. So if you're interested, let us know. So we went back and forth and came to a conclusion and made stuff work. So all in all, it's been a great fit for me, a great facility, and got Max, which is a nice project and something that I didn't know getting into it, that he was dealing with foot issues and things like that. But got on the backside of it, able to maybe do some trend-setting, groundbreaking stuff, learning kind of about the situation that kind of MotoGP was, in years ago where, guys developed into a thumb brake and things like that to have it, be more applicable for what they were doing, similar in this situation. He has his brake on his handlebars right here by his clutch, and it's been a work in progress, man. This is like version 6 or 7 of it, it's been 4 or 5 months of development, and we're confident we have time on it, more than 40 hours on it, and it was a good work in progress and a challenge to me.
And I mean, that's kind of what you want when you come back to it, because you definitely got to what we're going to talk about later in the video, and that's one part of the puzzle. Yeah. But like Mohed, I got to give you props because you do have to take a step back. I mean, Doug, you've been in NYK's bus forever and doing this and doing that, privateer guy grinding it out. So got to step back to come back and see what you really like. So I got to give you a shout out on that one.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, and for me, getting into this years ago, it was just to help my brother out at 15, 16 years old back in 05, 06, right? And developed into a full-time job, and man, I didn't go to high school, didn't set foot in high school, so to be able to provide a career for myself and buy a house in California, all these different things, I never did. How this deal you roll from year to year, you don't take a break. It doesn't allow a break. Riders, get a week or two off for vacation. We're preparing the materials for when they come back. So never took time, never did Christmas, never did Thanksgiving from 15, 16 years old all the way till I'm 35 now. So this past year was the first year I did it with my family. So honestly, it was good, and perspective sometimes hard to come by, but remove yourself from a situation. Sometimes when you look back at it or look at it, it comes at a different light. So for me, that's big on what it was, and just being a 35-year-old guy, man, learning life. So all in all, I found myself in a good fit with a group of like-minded individuals that are trying to row the boat forward.
1-to-1. Oh, yes, I'm with it. All right, so back to the handbrake and everything like that. I'm looking at it on the handlebar, and I'll have some more shots to get into it. But to start, where do you even source the materials?
Man, so I got to give Max's dad props on this talent. Ex-pro racer, very savvy, in equipment and just in knowledge and personnel. So he reached out to some friends of his, and it kind of stemmed from a Stark Varg or a KTM Freeride E. They all have left-handed rear brakes, and Max rode one of those as a kid, so kind of a no-brainer, and just went down that road. So the first one that we had, version 1, was actually a Stark Varg brake, so and then it's just developed from there, getting lines specially made, having direct lines go through the other master, ratios, etc., sizes of the rear rotor, thicknesses of the rear rotor pads, etc. It's been a whole process. So it's made me go back and look at my 15, 18 years of a career and, be like, okay, well, I did this right, that right, but definitely didn't pay enough attention to a couple things on brakes. Never had issues, but there's a lot that is to be had there, So, man, excited, and nothing but a positive for Max and the team, obviously, to be able to kind of change the way things are done, maybe potentially. If you have some success, I think it'll open people's eyes.
Yeah, just looking at it, I mean, you got the clutch lever there, the things up there so he can hit it with his finger.
Yeah, so
no lever at all on the foot.
No, because when we were teaching him, you have to relearn the process. We didn't want him to go and hit the rear brake and it not be there, because that's obviously muscle memory. So that's why we started with it off, and then it's just developed from there. But yeah, just one finger's the brake, one finger's the clutch, and he's got a dial, man.
Okay, working with his dad.
Yeah.
I mean, we know how not intense, but detailed the family is. Like, they're definitely watching and they're definitely seeing, and if they have an idea, they're going to go through with it.
100%.
How is that to work with?
It's rad. I love it. But I'm a unique individual too, right? So for me, I can tell you, we came here to Tampa with no stone left unturned, buddy. We ran through each and everything we could. So like I said, for me, coming off of a little bit of rest time. Guy next to me just dropped his helmet. That's a bummer. But yeah, coming off some rest time, for me, man, it's been a breath of fresh air in the aspect of just kind of attention to detail, which I've always been big on. You know, like I've never lacked in that department. But man, just literally crossing every T, dotting every I, and stuff that Talon learned back two-stroke days. You know, things that he's like, hey man, this got lost. You know, we should try this with my son. You know, so it's been really cool, and ClubMX has allowed him the platform to be involved. So it's been awesome, really cool.
I'm looking at just the rear setup right now.
Yeah.
So MotoMaster caliper.
Yeah.
Thicker disc.
Yeah, and bigger.
Bigger, just all the way around.
All the above.
Okay, so it's pretty good. And then I do see you got a cover over where your master cylinder would be, but the master cylinder's moved up.
Correct.
So everything's just nice, one piece. Is
Yes.
it different to like bleed the brake because everything's moved?
Hey, catch me at your local auto mechanic shop a couple years down the road as a brake specialty job, you know, like our guy, because at the end of the day, this thing is, yeah, literally like a car brake, you know, but it's fine. It just takes more time. What would normally take you, you know, hour and a half, let's just throw a number, hour and a half to bleed a brake and get it ready to where you're zip tying it, pressure checking, overnighting it, you're good. 4 hours, you know, and then, yeah, and just because, you know, you'll think it's good, you vacuum it. I've done bleeding it from the bottom, pushing it up. I've done every way. I've had people reach out and tell me their niches of how they've done it, and trust me, I've tried it. And yeah, for me, the way that we were able to do it was just put some time on it too, because as he rides and stuff, we thought we had it perfect. We're back bleeding, piston all the way damn near out, back in, etc. And he wheel tapped something 5 days later down the road, and you know it fades on him. So you know we've just chalked it up to have to put time on it. You know, so all in all, it's been a challenge, but something I've embraced, and it's been good. But props to Max too for being open-minded in this whole process, man, because you know somebody has to be willing and open to make progress and move, you know, things down the road, right? And so for him to be, you know, understanding when there were issues or things that were going on, he was super open to it. So it's been good.
Yeah, because it's uncharted territory for both of you guys.
Everybody.
Not only is it for you on the mechanical side, but physically he has to relearn everything, and it's a mental, it's a physical, everything has changed now.
All the above. So did some research, Newton's law of physics, 27 days to make a habit, something like that. So we counted them down, buddy, and we went to the drawing board. So yeah, honestly, it's been good, and like you say, started off slow and then eased into it. Obviously doing motocross laps, turn track laps, things like that. Transitioned into some Supercross and weren't even sure if it was possible, right? I was optimistic, they were optimistic, but they weren't sure because nobody's done it. So yeah, it's been steady progress since beginning of October.
Okay, last thing, has NYK asked for one?
We're in contact. We're in contact, for sure.
Thanks,
Good to see you.
Okay, Mohead just gave me the 411 on the handbrake. It's very interesting. You as the guy that's got to ride with it, and I'm sure you've been asked a million times, how is it?
Yeah, it's a lot better than I ever thought it would be. Honestly, for a point there in time, I didn't know if I'd ever be able to race again. But yeah, it's been super good, and honestly, there's a lot of advantages to it than disadvantages, I feel like. So yeah, it's been a learning curve, but honestly, in my life, I've ridden a lot of e-bikes and mountain bikes and bicycles, so I've always kind of dealt with handbrakes. So it's really not that different. It was really just, I feel like the hardest thing was learning how to clutch and brake at the same time, like in turns, say if I need to clutch before a 3-in or something. That was what took me the longest, but it's been so much time now on it where it's just muscle memory and feels like a normal bike. So yeah.
Oh, no auto clutch? Nothing like that. I mean, it's still pretty, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. With all of this then, so like the most important part would be how your fingers are placed. So then do you have index finger on the brake and then middle finger on the clutch?
Yeah, index finger on the brake, middle finger on the clutch. I've seen other, you know, handbrake systems on bikes, and a lot of guys seem to put the brake below, but for me, the most natural felt was to put the brake on top, because I've always been a middle finger clutch guy anyways. So for me, that was kind of just natural and normal.
Daniel said something that was pretty good as far as date-wise. It takes about 27, 28 days for a habit to really be in. How many days did it take for you to come to terms with it?
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, it only took a couple weeks till I was like pretty familiar with it. And then, yeah, after getting on Supercross, about a month of Supercross, I felt right at home. And I had another 2 months after that to till this point. So I've really been able to hone it in. And yeah, it literally just feels like muscle memory. It feels like that's how a bike should be ridden for me now. You know, I don't even think about the foot brake anymore.
You had that long layoff from the injury until you got to finally go back. How was it? I mean, we all know that when you get back on the motorcycle, there's a million things that you're thinking about. But was this nice to have one thing that you needed to learn? maybe take your mind off of other things?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, coming back to always from a big injury like I had, you know, stuff's gonna hurt when you ride, and my hands were tore up for weeks. I think it was 3 weeks straight where my hands were just tore up. So that was like another thing, just getting the hands toughened up again and all that stuff. But yeah, it was nice to, honestly, I feel like the best part was just moving back to club and having something fresh, not even just learning the handbrake. It was just having a fresh environment, being on the East Coast, and being back at a training facility. My whole life, I never, even before Redos or anything, never went back to a training facility and trained. I've always been in California, so it was nice to get new scenery and just be fresh.
Okay. Last thing is the big bike change. What do you think about the Yamaha?
Yeah, Yamaha is awesome. It is super powerful, of course, everyone knows that, and handles really good. I mean, I'm good in my turns. I can hit the whoops really good and confident, and honestly, there's not much more for me to ask out of it, to be honest. It's got the power I like, and I was able to set up mapping to exactly how I wanted to, and there's a bunch of other little trick things that I got to do with my bike that I've always wanted to do, but some factory teams just don't let you have that free ability to do so. But at club, they let me do whatever I wanted to the bike, which is awesome. So yeah, I got everything I wanted, really, so I'm happy.
Cool. Thanks, Max.
Thank you.